Hi, today I'm with Karan Hasija.
Hi.
He is known as the king of operational leadership. His favorite expression is systems work, people don't. He's known as a systems freak, and he's one of India's leading business coaches. What's more is he's the author of the book Cattle or Catalyst, which is an Amazon bestseller and an Amazon editor's choice. One thing more I can add about him based on my personal interactions with him is he's someone who really cares about people. And I personally experienced this. Thank you so much, Karan.
You're most welcome.
Karan, can I ask you a few questions? To start with, a little about your company, the services you provide, how long it's been in business, how many employees you have, and a little more in terms of the vision of your company.
Sure. So, my company's name is Quantum Leap Learning Solutions Private Limited, and this company is run by the three of us. There's Pranav Kumar Reddy, who handles the entire sales and marketing of Quantum Leap. There's obviously Rajiv Tareja, who's the author of the international bestseller Leader of Lead. Most people know him. Okay, and he's a premier brand where he speaks in multiple forums. And of course, there's me, and the three of us started Quantum Leap back in the year 2006, 2007. So it's almost 13 years and counting right now since we've been running this business. And predominantly, what we focus on right now is we work with entrepreneurs, business owners of various different sizes. They could be small entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneurs who have a small team size. A majority of our target audience are people who have a big size team, like 100, 200, 300, maybe up to 1,000. And what we do is to work with them and handhold them to scale up their business, keeping in mind all the various different business functions they have to scale up. So that's what we do. My team size is almost close to 40 people right now. We have a good full-fledged coaching team who actually creates all the magic for all our business owners, who personally on a one-to-one level handhold them to help them to scale up their business. We have a full-fledged marketing team internally, and my our vision honestly is to become a global household name, okay, where we are able to really help people, entrepreneurs in specific, to help them to handle their business and redefine and change the way business really works. That's our vision.
I've actually personally seen Karan and his team work their magic on many businesses. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this special interview.
We are at any given point in time hand holding on a one-to-one level any numbers between 700 to 800 business owners at any given point of time
That's a huge number.
across 7 countries.
No wonder it's the best.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So Karan, can you tell me a little about your childhood, your family, your upbringing, and the journey which led you here?
Okay, so North Indian family, pretty much seen. The only thing which I've seen is in my family, at least, is business. But the environment in my family towards business has never been favorable because I've grown up in a mindset where even though business was the way to go, my father specifically was not someone who was pro business in the way he did it, because he used to always complain that, okay, fine, I'm in jail and my business, if I'm not there, my father had a retail showroom in textile. So I've been brought up in an upbringing where I've learned sales and business really at a really young age. However, my dad was like not really happy with it all the time because he was always stuck to the business. So it was, I had a a good upbringing, let me put it that way, a very comfortable childhood. I had a lot of influence from my grandfather, my grandparents, and right now, I live at home with my dad, my mom, my brother, his wife, my wife, and my child. So yeah, 7 of us at home. What led me here is actually quite interesting because looking at my dad, I had decided earlier that I don't want to get into business because I used to see my dad struggle. I used to see my dad bound to the business, and as a result of that, he used to keep telling me that, son, you know what? Look at something which is a lot more comfortable for you, where you don't have this tension of going to work every single day, and without you, okay, nothing can happen. So I got into engineering, like the whole mentality where at that point in time, everybody, I didn't really know why I wanted to do it, but just because it was the fad and everybody thought that engineering is the cool thing to do, I got involved. And when I got into my engineering, I got exposed to a student organization. In fact, that's where I met Rajiv. We met there, and we used to do a lot of training for students. And that's when I really, really caught the bug of entrepreneurship. And to back it up, even though my dad was not really, I wouldn't say he wasn't favorable, it's just like he wasn't really too keen on me pursuing a business. My grandfather was a very, very huge influence on me getting into entrepreneurship because he was a very creative person. He's actually my inspiration because I've dedicated my book to my grandfather. I really believe that he's one of the only reasons why I ventured on the journey of becoming an entrepreneur. And he always said this to me that in his childhood, he's from Bombay, and he's been into textile all his life. I mean, of course, he's no more right now. But when he was in I think about 10 or 12 years old in Mumbai, Dhirubhai Ambani. I mean, everybody knows who Dhirubhai Ambani is.
Yes.
And Dhirubhai Ambani used to sell cloth, in Hindi say thans,
Yeah.
right? On the road, door by door to shop owners. And my grandfather was one of his customers. He's bought from him off the road. Yeah. And where Dhirubhai Ambani reached and where the Ambanis are today, they're probably the richest Indian in the world today. And my grandfather used to tell me that, if he can do it, from where he was and where he's reached today, then anybody can. And at the age of 13, even though subconsciously, consciously, I thought I'm not going to do it. I was very passionate about it and very excited about it because I wanted to fulfill the dream of my grandfather to do all the things which he never did. He started off many business ventures, but he wasn't successful in any of them. My dad used to keep telling me that my grandfather's a great opening batsman, but not a good finisher, and that's the reason why things didn't go all the way. So I really believe that that's what finding right opportunity at the right time, the right context, the right setting, the right exposure, the right learning, and suddenly in 2005 to be precise is when I made a decision while I was in engineering that I want to be an entrepreneur. That led me to pursuing me building my strengths and building my capabilities and training. And in the year 2007, 2008, I dropped out of my engineering. Okay, and Quantum Leap had already started at that point of time. And I decided, what, that's not for me. It's not something I want to pursue. And this journey started.
That explains a lot to me now, especially the engineering background and your passion for systems.
Yeah. So I what I would say is that I don't think my passion for systems came from engineering. I never really understood the relevance of it in the people world. It's just that when I got exposed to leadership, let me put it that way, because I started leading people at a very, very young age. When I was 18 years old, in the student organization, 17, 18 to be precise, I used to lead teams of 5 or 6 people, and we had to produce results over there. And all of us are in college. And then, with time, we upgraded our journeys, and I had a team of 130, 140 people. And as a 18-year-old, we generated 40 lakh rupees of revenue in a month. Okay, which most business owners don't do today.
So this is someone you should definitely learn how to do business from, clearly.
So it was a fantastic exposure to really understand how teams work, how leadership works, and my grounding, my values, my philosophies, my principles of leadership is what got instilled at that age, where I understood what accountability is, real time, understood what conflict is, I understood what team building is, and delegation, mentoring, training. From the age of 18 to 21 with college students, like a simulated corporate environment without having the corporate infrastructure.
Yes.
We used to run teams. We had an organization strength of 200 people at that point of time. None of them were employed. All of them worked out of their will, and we were leading teams. So that really exposed me to leadership. That gave me my footing and my exposure to training. And that's what led me to my journey. In fact, like I said, Rajiv, when we met over there, we were colleagues in that student organization. And then, one thing led to another, and we're here.
That's a very sweet story. And I'd like to know a little more about your professional journey, like what has been the path.
Okay, so it's been a tough path, but a very, very exciting path. What I would say is that, a lot of people know our journeys. Okay, they know the ups and downs. But what people don't know is that the nitty-gritties of how it led to here. So when we started off, very passionate bunch of youngsters who had a lot of talent. We were good at what we did because we got exposed to competence in this field at a very young age, which even today is a pretty big deal. Like Me and Rajiv put together, we were NLP certified practitioners when we were 17 years old. And I'm talking about like 13, 14 years back. And today, it's catching up like as if everybody's an NLP practitioner, but that time it was not as popular. So we were good. We did a lot of work while we were 18 years old itself. I had done the orientation for IMB, done a lot of corporate stints in terms of training, and we had these dreams and had aspirations of really changing the world. But easier said than done.
And you are doing it now.
So we're doing it now.
Yes.
It's just that we had, to be honest, what we're doing today is actually always been our vision. Working with businesses, transforming their results real time, top line and bottom line, not just causing a behavioral change. Let me put it that way. For us, what really excited us was, hardcore, proper, tangible results. But no one took us seriously back then, and rightly so, because we were young. Just because we're talented doesn't equal to we were good enough. But we thought we were, and we were wondering why are people not. I mean, imagine you going to a corporate organization who has 2,000 people, and you're talking to the HR head or the CEO. Somehow they gave us the meeting also, and you tell them that, hey, you know what, I'm going to implement systems in your organization, and we will increase your revenue. And obviously, those people would be thinking like, who's this kid? I mean, who 20-year-old at that point in time. Today times are changing, but at that point in time, without the gray hair, people never took you seriously, and rightly so. So from there, we realized that and everybody knows this. It took us like about 102 rejections first to get our first client, and we started a journey from there. We did a lot of good work in actually accelerating the performance of a lot of teams, but then we realized that what, we need to become a lot more visible. We need to become a lot more credible for people to take us seriously. And that's when we started venturing into training, okay, and to build a brand for ourselves. And from there, we've worked with more than 200 plus corporate organizations and done a lot of leadership work. Like we work with many various different teams, teaching them leadership, training them on leadership, hand-holding them on leadership at a first-time manager level, at a team lead level, at a mid-manager level, at a management, senior management level, at a CEO, CXO level. So multiple different methods, multiple different dimensions. Let's say demographics, businesses. Oh, we've covered the works.
You have. You certainly have. I think the journey was a bit difficult to start with, but today I feel you've taken India by storm.
I mean, thank you for saying that, Namrata. As a normal entrepreneur, once you start understanding that you have something which you can offer, aspirations start taking over. And I believe that's when, even though we were able to really deliver when it comes to leadership as business owners, I can plainly say that we were not that good. Because even though we got a lot of opportunity and we did a lot of good work, we failed in business. And there was a time in 2000, and because we were aspirational and we had a pretty decent sized team over there, there was once upon a time I had a 45 member team, and we were running 3 businesses all put together. And though that actually 4, okay, 3 me, but together, even adding even Rajiv to the mix, there were 4 businesses which were working together. And we did that only because we wanted to grow, without having the basis and the logic of why we got into that business in the first place. And that's when all hell broke loose. We weren't able to sustain. We were firefighting constantly. It's like literally that I had for like 4 jobs. Didn't know where I was going. Everything looked good on the outside, but not really sustaining, not really making the kind of money which, not forget the potential of the business, even required to kind of scrape through. And then, in that epic year of 2012, all hell broke loose, and 2 of our business ventures went bust, and we got into a lot of trouble. We were in debt, 70 lakh of a loss, 45 lakhs of debt. We were about 25, 26 years of age. We had just gotten married, engaged in that situation, and that's when everything just comes down. And from there, everybody knows that journey already, that we struggled a lot for a lot of time, not knowing what to do, but going on the journey of actually educating ourselves, filling the gaps in terms of our competence, accepting that we don't know, so we need to learn, and we need to learn from people who do know, evolving ourselves, and now we're here.
So I'm going to take a different spin to this.
Yep.
You and your team and Rajiv and Bhakti and Pranav, all of you have effected a lot of change in businesses and even in events, and in the training industry, you're regarded as amongst the top trainers and coaches in the country. And I mean, for the uninitiated, I would like to kind of tell them that I was at the Success Gyan Change Makers of 2019, where Success Gyan, which is India's number one seminar organizing company, they have identified the best speakers and the best trainers and coaches who are creating value and change in India. And I'd like you to tell me a little more about it, because if I remember correctly, uh, you are amongst one of those.
So, what happened at the Changemakers 2019 is that we got felicitated by Success Gyan for being the masters of business transformation. And I mean, I must say that we've done solid impact work over the last 4 years through our PACE system and handholding entrepreneurs all across the world. And today, I mean, we've added thousands of crores worth of revenue in terms of our work. We've had people generated a lot of employment through the work which we're doing over there. And I believe we've reached a wave where truly the way business is being done by the entrepreneurs whom we are handholding is shifting gears. And in spite of that, I think we're not even scratched the surface. I think there's so much more value we can add. There's so much more to do. There's so much more responsibility. In fact, being given that recognition just puts more responsibility in us, because we really, really need to work on getting our country to where it ought to be. So it was a very overwhelming moment, a very grateful moment, and I really want to thank Success Gyan for doing that. I'm giving us that recognition, because it truly means a lot.
So you did answer part of my question earlier, which was your grandfather was a source of inspiration for you.
Yep.
And other than your grandfather, would you have any role models or mentors you look up to, and why?
So of course, there's been a lot of people who've played a very significant role in chiseling us, okay, literally. But there are two people I would like to mention who they are my role models and they are definitely my mentors. One is Blair Singer. I mean, hands down, he too was felicitated at the Changemakers 2019, and I think his award was the topmost award for compared to all the other four people who got it, because he has been instrumental not just in India but all across the world to really bringing the ethics of teaching into the industry. And anyone who's truly successful in this industry is a product of Blair Singer. He truly is the master of masters, and he taught us the responsibility of teaching, and it's sacred. It's sad sometimes that in our industry people don't understand the ethical value of the responsibility which they have, and in the name of training, God knows what they do. But it's honestly because of Blair, who taught us what's the right intent and the right value system you're going to have, irrespective of the skills of training. That intent is what has been instilled by Blair, and truly he's the master of masters, and he's made a really deep impact, not just on me, definitely on Rajiv and Pranav and pretty much our entire team. So he's one person whom I really look up to and been a mentor for me. And the other person whom I think has had the deepest impact on me is Sidra Jaffrey. She's my mentor. She's someone who's constantly looked out for us, and I think she was instrumental purely in the times where things were low, and to unlock all the energies which were stopping us, which we could not see, to put us on the right path. So she's been a spiritual mentor, not just professionally, but even personally with me, my family, everybody. She's been instrumental to putting us on the right path, and got our back to make sure that we live up to our full potential. So these are two people who I completely credit where we are today. I have people who've really mentored us.
I'm grateful to them for creating a mentor like you for me.
Thank you.
So
I'm
thank
grateful
you.
too.
Name any 3 activities that lift up your mood in a heartbeat.
My mood. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I love watching TV. I know a lot of people think that okay, watching TV is a waste of time, and it's an idiot box. But when I'm saying TV, I don't mean the cable TV. I love watching my superhero stuff. I'm a superhero buff. I'm a geek that way. If anyone's visited my office cabin, it's just full of superheroes everywhere, and I keep watching these superhero sitcoms. I'll watch the superhero movies, and and I watch a lot of sitcoms. So anytime I want to de-stress and I want to switch off, I'm always hooked on to either a Netflix or a Prime, and I have a specific genre of shows which I watch, and that lifts my mood a lot. Apart from that, off late, it's a new experience for me, but it's definitely my go-to experience, and it tops the list is to play with my son.
Oh,
Okay,
of course.
I mean, by default, no matter what, he's like 5.5 months old. His name is Shivansh, and no matter what my mood is, just going to meet him, and he gets very excited when he sees me. That smile on his face, oh my god, it just shifts my mood completely. So that's another activity for me. And the third one is I love going out. Yeah, I'm a big foodie. I love to hang out with people. I go out. I wouldn't say partying. I'm not too much of a fan of it. But I like the music. I like to sit out. I like to chill. I like to go to different places. So I would say these three top my list. I love to do these three things, and it immediately, no matter whether I have sleep or no, don't have sleep. If I'm doing any of these three activities, I'm on.
To take a cue from the first one, which is the superheroes, I mean, you and your team is nothing short of being superheroes.
We're aspiring to do that to really make a difference to people.
Yes, and you're getting there
Thank you for that.
into deeper levels. So, what languages do you speak and what are you good at?
Okay, I can say I'm good at English.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at English. Like I actually I believe that my not just in general, but I'm good at the language. But I can also very straightforwardly say that I don't think I'm any good in any other language as much as English. Everything else is an effort for me. I can speak Hindi, but I can't. It's something which I do put an effort for. It doesn't come naturally for me. That's probably one of the reasons why when we're expanding into different markets, I don't think I'll ever be doing a Hindi program. There's always been a little bit of a tussle between me and Rajiv. He's like, oh, you're incompetent and you don't know how to speak Hindi, because he can, and he can train on stage on Hindi, but I can't. Again, Kannada, I can manage, I can pull through. Even though I'm born and brought up in Bangalore, the unfortunate part is that while growing up, I've only been exposed to English. At home, we speak in English. With my grandparents also, my grandfather was so particular because, in that era, when he was, my grandfather knew like 13 different languages, and he was fluent in all of them, because of his business requirements.
13 is a huge number.
Yeah, it's quite a huge number. But he was hell bent on us, only speaking in English, because at that point in time, it was the need of the hour for people to really excel. And he would speak to us in English. He was uneducated, but he was a writer himself. Like he would write snippets, cut out newspaper articles for me to read and build my language capabilities. So we just grew up in English like nothing else. I speak to my dad, my mom, my wife, my grandmother also at that point in time. Even though it was broken, we would speak in English. Kannada I can manage. Sindhi, my mother tongue, I feel I can understand it very well. I can communicate if the need is there. But I think in terms of a language preference, that's my fourth. I'm the worst in Sindhi. So yeah, what I would say is, English is my go-to language. Simple.
Okay. So, what according to you is the language of leadership? And what does leadership mean to you?
Okay, so the language of leadership is not really obviously a lingual language. According to me, I tell you what leadership means to me. And I've also mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it again. Leadership for me primarily is a responsibility. It's not a position. And someone whom I've read a lot of books of John C. Maxwell, and I draw a lot of principles from him. During my earlier days when I was young in the student organization, that's when I really understood the language and the definition of leadership. Not just by reading, but also by practicing that. The responsibility of leadership is to develop a team with synergy. And for me, synergy is equal to having the right dynamics in your team, which is to do with the relationships and the commitment levels of your team. And having said that, the same team needs to produce a result. Having one of them is not effective. And most people sometimes believe that it's either the result which measures a team or the relationship which measures a team. For me, it has to be the balance between two. And that is the responsibility for leader to create. And that's why I'm saying leadership is a responsibility to balance the results, the relationships, and to create the synergy where people's commitment people's dynamic between each other, as well as the results are in sync. So for me, that is leadership.
Okay. How would you sum up your secret recipe for success in one line?
I mean, I don't think it's a secret, and I have multiple different recipes.
Okay.
But I tell you what's worked for me.
Okay.
For me, in one line, success is a direct function of your capability and competence, and your capability and competence is a direct function of your learning.
Okay.
So, learning equals to success. In that order.
I wish a lot more people would see it that way as well.
I mean, no matter who you are,
yes,
no matter how successful you are, it's not about using a cliche dialogue like, oh,
Yes.
there's always more to learn. That's
Yes.
obvious.
Yes.
But learning for me is a skill, because a lot of people attend programs and read and in their words learn, but what difference is the learning making? For me, learning is the ability to work, get that knowledge, apply it on yourself, put it to practice, build that capability, and then produce a result. You see so many different business owners and leaders all across where they get exposed to a lot of knowledge, but in spite of it, there's no result, because gaining knowledge and learning are two different things.
Yes.
Are you working on building your capability? And that's why you need mentors, and that's why you need to go out there and actually be willing to take risks, fail, because that's the only way you're going to learn. But it's not just about getting exposed to knowledge. So for me, learning equals to competence and capability development, which is going to add value to your success. And that happens through a lot of different factors, through experience, through exposure, but it's basically over there.
Yes, and it definitely doesn't happen in a day. One
of
has
course
to
not.
learn, absorb, implement, and then
I wish it
bring the
happened in a day, but
transformation.
that's wishful thinking.
Yes.
Because like I said, the first part and the easiest part
Yes.
is gaining the knowledge. The more difficult part, and actually when it makes a difference, is when you actually go out there and make it happen. Because that's when you make the mistakes, that's when you understand the gaps, and that's when you know how to plug the gaps. That's when you truly get out of your comfort zone. People use these statements a lot: get out of your comfort zone. What does it really mean? It means to put yourself out there and practice what you've learned, so you understand what gaps are there and fulfill it. As simple as that. It's a constant evolution journey, and that's how life is.
Of course, definitely. What, according to you, are the essential qualities that make a leader valuable to an organization?
So, according to me, what makes a leader valuable for the organization obviously is the amount of influence and impact they have on their team. I mean, very cliche dialogues, but I think it's really, really true. A team is a reflection of their leader. There's no two ways about it. You will see, and I'm saying this out of my own experience, that I've seen leaders. Of course, they change depending upon the situation, but sometimes if the leader is great and the team is not, because of the leader's influence on the team changes, and the team mirrors the leader. And sometimes that same team, the leader changes, and that same performing team will stop performing because of the leader. So the leadership capability of the team, of the leader, is for me a big asset, and that is just more than assigning tasks and holding them accountable. It's a lot of connection, it's a lot of relationship, it's a lot of commitment and capability building towards your team, and the ability to build that culture where your team is aligned is what makes a leader valuable in any organization. So that for me is a big value add for leader. Are they able to create an environment which is sustaining the results and the relationships no matter what the external situation is?
So you've actually addressed a lot of issues in the last couple of minutes. Now, when I'm thinking of leadership, I'm thinking of leadership for myself as an individual, and I'm also looking at leadership at an organization level.
Okay.
So could you break it down into what specific actions you take at an individual level to enhance your growth as a leader? And then what actions do you take at a team or organization level to enhance their growth?
So honestly, for me, it's not too very different, because I'm not a big fan of, even though you say you can lead yourself, I'm not too much of a big fan of it, because I believe that it's not a one-person game. For me, the way I work on myself is to be a part of an environment. I have mentors too. I have my own team which holds me together. Between me, Rajiv, and Pranav, our ecosystem is so tight, and that's the reason why we're able to work off each other, because you need someone to show you the mirror, you need someone to tell you what's not working, you need someone to show you the way, and we play that role for each other. So for me, self-leadership is equal to being a part of an environment which shows you how you can do better and how you can create that change. And that's exactly the same philosophy in the team. where you were able to create that environment, create that culture, which creates the entire context for an organization. So people understand what's your vision, people understand what you need to achieve, and the ability to align everybody towards that vision and to make sure people are moving towards that vision, and in that journey to plug loopholes, to solve the gaps, and to create that culture where everybody is growing, everybody is evolving, everybody is happy, and everybody is aligned. Yeah, it needs to be, and so that's why our philosophy for leadership and for business is win win win. I mean, if anybody's attended our program, this is something which our vision, like I said earlier, if I had to give one line for it, is to get people or get business owners to run business, which is win win win, to create win 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 workplaces, and win 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 equals to your customer wins because you are in business primarily because of your customer. Your team needs to win because at the end of the day, if your team is not winning, then what's the point of running the organization? And finally, you as a business owner need to win. For me, leadership as an outcome, when I say results and relationships, it gets summarized by this philosophy of win-win-win. So that's been our endeavor, and that's what we do with our teams, creating win-win-win workplaces.
Yes, and I've seen that it's not just in theory. I've seen that in action, that you've implemented win-win-win.
I mean, and honestly, I feel that's the reason why most teams will succeed, because all stakeholders involved need to be aligned. It's that win-win-win which creates that alignment. If not, eventually one of the other stakeholders will drop off. So yeah, I can say that I think it's always going to be work in progress, but I'm really happy with the way we've turned out in our team over there, because everybody subscribes to win-win-win.
And what, according to you, is the key to developing the next generation of leaders?
The key to developing the next generation of leaders is, again, learning. There's no two ways about it. So in any leadership environment, when you need to build a second line leadership team or a next generation of leaders in any organization, as a business owner or as a leader, you got to put in the effort to develop people. And with development, then you delegate, and then you empower them with responsibility. Not having a development and a learning ecosystem in your organization with the right kind of opportunities in terms of challenges and in terms of tasks for people to implement that learning will never lead to your next generation. Which means that you got to have an environment of learning, you got to have a culture of learning, you got to have the platform for learning, you got to have the right opportunity for people to implement their learning, you got to have the support system to facilitate the learning process for competence and capability development to happen through delegation, through mentoring, through training, through multiple different methods, and then eventually empower people with their responsibility. This is how you develop leaders.
So Karan, what, according to you, are the key ingredients to make a great workplace? I mean, you mentioned win-win-win is part of your philosophy, but there would be other philosophies that you follow. And what best practices are already built in? And what would you recommend an organization does to elevate the performance of their team?
So I'll answer one at a time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are the key ingredients of making an amazing workplace? Okay. First of all, I said the philosophy of win-win-win. Everything in our organization, at least, and that's what we handhold business owners to do, is to stem from the philosophy of win-win-win, which means that all three parties need to win.
Yes.
So for that to happen, first of all, one key ingredient in an organization is that everyone needs to have clarity on what they're expected to achieve, how can they achieve it, and what do they need to do differently. So that clarity, which I've noticed in a lot of teams and workplaces, is always missing, and that's the reason why people are always confused. See, I'm okay with chaos. Chaos will happen because constantly there's a hustle which is happening, constantly people are evolving, business is dynamic, requirements are dynamic, but hustle will, but the chaos needs to have clarity as to how are we moving forward. So that's the first ingredient. The second ingredient for a great workplace is a learning culture. According to me, that learning culture where constantly people are challenged, and because of that challenge, people have the need to learn, and there's enough ecosystem for people to learn, because people need to know that they're growing, because only when they're growing, they're evolving, and that's what is a huge motivating factor for people. If the growth culture is not there and people start becoming redundant, and that happens because of two reasons: no challenge, no opportunity for learning and mastery. So according to me, that's the second ingredient. And the third ingredient for a great workplace is to hold it all together. I would say a conducive culture, a culture which gets people to align towards this philosophy. It's the culture. If you asked me a question earlier, what is the language of leadership? if I really bring that up right now, the language of leadership is the culture the leader is able to create. Because culture becomes the language. It becomes the way people think. It becomes the way people talk. It becomes the way people behave with each other. It's like if you and people keep asking me this question: what really is culture mean? You look at your household. There's certain things which every family does. It could be rituals, it could be systems, it could be just the way they are with each other. It could be a morning breakfast, could be a puja at home, could be dinner. That's a culture. Every religion has their own cultures.
Yes.
That way, every organization needs to have their own culture.
Yes.
So for me, that's the third critical ingredient. So clarity of expectation in the form of roles, in the form of goals, in the form of capability, that needs to be there. Second, in terms of a learning environment
Yes.
where there is an opportunity for people to grow, and there again career growth and challenges come into the picture, and to hold it all, the culture. So these are the three ingredients according to me to create an amazing workplace. There's more, but these three top my list.
Okay.
So what initiatives and philosophies do we follow apart from win-win-win? For me, a charter, as a rule which we follow, there are multiple philosophies. So this tops the list. Goal first or mission first, team second, me third. And that creates I would say, the fabric of the culture in our organization, because everybody thinks in that line, and that becomes a measurable criteria also for me to evaluate people whether are they in line to our win-win-win philosophy or not. Which means that everybody puts the goal first, because that's ultimately the major deliverable for everybody. Your team comes second, and then you put yourself third. The minute anybody in the organization puts them ahead of the team or the goal, then that becomes a clear indication that they're not in line with our culture. So this is another philosophy. And to enable this to happen in reality, we have a lot of initiatives internally. For me, my team is, I can easily and proudly say this, that my team is more important for me than even my customers, because ultimately this is the main vehicle for us to really create the transformation which we want to create in the world. So creating the right kind of career growth opportunities, giving them a pathway for them to achieve it, helping our team fulfilling their needs, not just from a career perspective, but also from a financial perspective, and also expecting them in return to deliver in terms of growth, in terms of capability development, as well as results. So that's really the essential of win-win, so that both parties are able to really provide each other with what they want and everybody's aligned. So we have a lot of initiatives internally where we have, for me, as a learning culture, I would say we have a system internally that at least for half a day per week, people are dedicated to a proper group learning activity. And this is not just a training program. There are multiple different, especially in our kind of business, any amount of learning is not enough, because the amount of exposure we need and the amount of chiseling we need is really, really high. So the learning culture is very high in the organization. Our work is challenging. So the right kind of people in our organization always feel challenged, because there's always a better solution. There's always a person who needs different kind of support. So that keeps people always on their toes, and the need for learning is very, very high. And of course, to hold it all together, our culture, we have a mixed bag of team members. We have people who are very young, 25, 26, 27. We have people who are 40 plus also. Irrespective of that, we don't have a real hierarchy. It's a very flat structure. We do have a reporting mechanism, but that's because of seniority and capability. However, it's a very open door philosophy. And as a result of this, the synergy in the team is very, very high. There is chaos, but I love the chaos, because the chaos for me is organized.
And the synergy is very visible.
Yeah, it is. It shows in the dynamics of a team. Yes. And like every team has its challenges. It's constant in every team that you are going to have disagreements, you're going to have conflicts. But that is what makes the team, because when you have an opportunity for conflict, it brings out the best in people, as long as you have a mechanism to resolve it. So for me, conflict is good. If a team does not have conflict, then that's not a team. Imagine you having relationships with people and you don't have a difference of opinion. That's not a relationship. That just means that they're two people who have nothing to do with each other. Right?
Yes. On that note, you mentioned conflict. So what are the key challenges that leaders face in organizations and teams face?
Oh, there's a huge list for that. So according to me, from a leader's perspective, the key challenge which they face and they need to resolve is that they're not able to build a synergy. which means that the symptoms are that people say my team is not motivated, my team is not committed, my team is not producing results. And obviously the solution for that is to be able to lead your teams to build their competence and to create an environment. So one challenge is obviously the commitment levels of the team. The other challenge is the capability of the team, and having that synergy, according to me, sums up all the challenges. There are many micro challenges I can go into, but primarily is how can a leader gain that commitment from a team, which is a function of their alignment and their motivation, and channelize that commitment towards performance. This is where leaders get stuck.
Okay. And would you equate good leadership with having a good energy and a positive mindset? And how does one really think like a leader? What does it mean to think like a leader?
So how does it mean to think like a leader? I'll share from my experience. How do I think as a leader? So for me, when I'm faced with a challenge or a situation, my I wouldn't say it's a formula, it's my approach. I look at what is required in that situation. So the goal focused, in terms, when I'm saying goal, I'm not talking about performance, I'm talking about the outcome in that situation. For me, that having that clarity and having the context for that particular outcome is very important. So once I'm clear about that, I start looking at what are the gaps which are there, and what do I need to provide in the situation for me to fill that gaps. So I say the differentiating factor is you looking at, as a leader, what do you need to provide in an equation so that you're able to enable the change to happen, rather than expecting someone else to make the difference. So what I see is a big mistake which leaders do is that they use their position and expect people to do something different. That's why I go back to my definition of leadership, that it's a responsibility, which means you need to respond. So I need to provide what is missing in the equation for my team to respond. And if I don't provide that, I mean, I'm saying provision, I'm not talking about, transactional stuff. I'm talking about, it could be as simple as creating an opportunity for my team member to come and talk to me. Yeah, but I need to provide that. You can't assume these things. So that thinking capability to see what is required and what can you provide versus what you want from them. Yeah, of course you need them to also provide, but you need to create that initiative first. For me, that's what defines the right way to think, according to me, as a leader.
Okay. So this one question I think would be very interesting for your business owner, SME, market. A lot of business owners that I meet, of course, like the prime concern is profits and money. The second is getting the right focus and direction. And of course, time is always an issue. What are the tangible things that one can do, from a leadership perspective to create direct impact on profits, and not from a business or domain expertise perspective, but from a functional leadership perspective?
Okay, so I'll tell you mistakes which people make and what do they need to do in order for them to achieve that the direction of profit. Biggest mistake which people make in SMEs is that they don't build a team. Yeah, and they have the mentality that one, I need to do it myself, and even if they have a team, they're still not really utilizing the team in the right direction because the buck is stopping at them. And this happens because most people don't understand that hiring a team is not equal to building a team. That's where I think most people get it wrong. First of all, you need to hire someone. You can't expect to have ready-made people. There's work you got to put in, which means that you got to build, and you got to build people's commitment. You got to build people's competence. You're never, irrespective of people's past experience, you're never going to have someone ready-made in both areas. People may have experience and expertise, but to align them in your organization for your expectations requires work. And that's where your leadership comes into the picture. But you got to train, you got to mentor, you got to develop, you got to influence, you got to create an environment. So that's the first step. Another mistake which a lot of people do is that when they hire, they feel that their job is done, right? So again, goes back to the leadership. So ultimately, for me, the reason why I'm bringing these factors up is because success, profits, performance in any business, from a business owner's perspective, is directly proportional to the leadership capability. Ultimately, when you have a team, you got to lead. There's no two ways about that.
Yes.
So building a team is going to enable you to start moving towards success and profits. Second, building a team in the right areas, which means that to start looking at activities where you are firefighting and the buck is stopping at you, and to build a team in that area, develop. So again, I'm using the word build because hiring a team is not equal to building a team. That's where the difference is leadership. So building a team, developing that team, through delegation, through mentoring, through coaching, through training, etc. And then having a system to measure and manage the team so that the business owner can focus on other activities of scale up. So this process needs to happen in a very strategic way, in function to function, so that the dependency on the business owner reduces and the business owner can focus on strategic acceleration of the business, which will lead to more profits. The reason why most business owners do not make the kind of profits and results they want is because they're too stuck in managing the business rather than looking at building the business. So that's where the leadership angle comes into the picture. That's my take on it, in simple words.
So I'm going to actually, I heard about your vision for the organization, and I'd love to hear your personal vision, your dreams, and what's your next big goal.
So,
And your next vacation as well.
I think my vision is honestly is completely in line with my organization's vision. For me,
Sure.
I don't see how that's different for a leader. It's all the same. Ultimately, your vision is what your organization will. You are the organization at the end. And I'm speaking on behalf of the three of us.
Yes.
So for me, and not just QL, not just for all of us. I mean, I really want to create an ecosystem which redefines the way business works to be able to really impact maximum lives, especially in India today, because I believe what we're able to do in providing the right kind of education is fulfilling the gap which people have experienced through the years of schooling and college. I really wish that we had this education back then, because this would put us in the right direction. And that's our attempt. My vision is to really impact as many lives and transform as many businesses and create an ecosystem to create win-win-win workplaces. So that's my vision long term. And for that, I really want us to become a household name where people know that this is the method or this is the way you need to run business, and that is associated with what we've been able to create with the PACE system. Our next immediate goal, what I'm really excited for, is that, like I mentioned before, we are venturing into the Hindi markets. And the reason why I'm saying this, cities like Indore, cities like Nagpur, Surat, Jaipur, the reason why I'm saying this, that I'm excited about the Hindi markets, is because I believe that the amount of business owners over there actually, are doing, if not more, the same amount of business which they're doing in the metro cities. The heart of business is there, and availability and access of what we are doing in the kind of education which we are providing is not present over there. So this gives us an opportunity to really reach out to more people and redefine the way business works for them. And I really believe that that's the need of the hour today. So I'm excited about that. That's my next big goal. And apart from that, I'm looking forward to my vacation. December for all three of us is vacation time. So we're heading off to Australia for some time to really sharpen the saw, give us our break so that we can come back strong next year and continue this journey of transformation.
Thank you so much, Karan. I mean, thank you for your time and for your detailed words of wisdom. Really enjoyed it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on this interview, Namrata. It was my pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.